Welcome to my first ever English video on this channel. Today we will have some heavy duty ahead of us. We will write a script for cutting map trees and getting them out of our way. I found a nice place for our player already and geared up. What do we want to achieve with the script? We want the ability to go to every tree on the map to cut it down. After the tree is cut, we want to spawn a pile of wood in our vicinity. And after a little pause, the cutted tree should be removed, so the map stays a bit cleaner. Sounds like some work. So, let's go. The mission and the mission file is already saved, and now we are creating 3 scripts. The init.sqf already here. What's left is check for tree SQF and chop tree SQF. The init.sqf is only there for initiating the check for tree SQF. We will use check for tree SQF to scan a radius around the player unit for any kind of tree. And chop tree SQF is obviously for executing the code for cutting the tree, spawning a pile of wood, and to remove the downed tree from the map. The first thing in the check for tree script is creating the local variable shop. This one we will need later to prevent the script from messing up our action menu by spamming the same action over and over again. Now we start a while loop with a live player as condition. Because we want to be able to shop a tree only when we have a certain item in the inventory, we start with an if query. And because vanilla ArmA 3 doesn't have an x or equal as an inventory item, I just will use the entrenching tool, the folding spade from Ace. And within and items player we check if the tool is part of our inventory. Now we define a cursor object variable, which with the script command cursor object will provide us the details of the model under our cursor in game. And with the variable isTree we will scan the surrounding for any sort of tree. For this we use nearest terrain objects. So we use the player as a center, tree as the object class we are checking for, and a circle of, let's say, 15 meters. At first we check with if there's a tree in the 15 meter circle around us. For this we use cursor object in isTree. Now another while loop, this time true as condition. Now, because we are stuck in the true loop, the script won't check anything before while true, as long as a tree is near our position. So we need a new cursor object variable, let's say cursor object new. This variable will now be constantly updated depending on what we look at. Now we convert the local variable cursor object new into a global one, because we will need this variable also in a shop tree SQF. With the variable postTree we will call up with getPostATL the position from cursor object new. We use getPostATL here because if we would use just getPost we would receive 3-dimensional coordinates. And when we calculate the distance between our player and the object, it would use the center of the object. And in case of trees, due to their different heights, this center would change. So the distance. But we will need a constant distance between player and tree. Therefore we use getPostATL at terra level. And we will receive a 2-dimensional coordinate with a x and y value. So the distance will be calculated on a flat ground, and we can use a fixed distance for checking between player and tree. Let's calculate now the distPlayerTree variable with player distance postTree. Basically the distance between us as a player and the tree position of cursor object new. Again with if we check we as the player are close enough to the tree. Therefore the first thing is we will use shop, which is still true, and the distPlayerTree for, let's say, a smaller distance than 2 meters. When this if query is valid, we add an action entry for the action menu. Shop tree, player add action. I will call it shop tree and execute the chop tree SQF. As the second, I switch the value for shop to false, so the action will only be shown once. Now we need an additional if. To check for the case we are not watching the tree anymore, we move too far away from the tree, or we have just cutted the tree. The first is cursor object new unequal to cursor object, or distPlayerTree larger than 2, or getDamage cursor object new equals 1. When one of these 3 conditions becomes true, we will exit this loop with exitWith. And in the execution of exitWith, we check if we have chopped the tree, and when the variable shop is false, we remove the action menu entry chop tree with remove action, and after the if query we will set shop to true again. Last thing here is now a sleep 0.1 for both of the while loops, and that's all for this script. Now to chop tree SQF. First chop tree will be the already defined variable cursor object new. PostTree the variable for the position of shop tree, and sleep 1 second. Now we come to the damage of a tree, chop tree set damage 1 and the tree will fall. We will create a variable for the player position, pos_player, and define a variable pos_wood where we set up the spawn position of the wood pile relative to the player position. With pos_player select 0 minus 1, the x coordinate, and pos_player select 1 plus 1, the y coordinate. Now the wood pile will be spawned in our vicinity. Another 3-second break. Now we spawn the wood pile with create vehicle on the position pos_wood. To find the class name quick and easy, place the object in the editor. Right click on it and select find in asset browser and just copy it from the search bar and put it into the script. Another short break. The final thing to do, chop tree hide object true, and the chopped tree will be removed from the map. So everything I mark now is the code for spawning the wood pile. That's optional. So if you want to just create an open space for a fighting position, a camp or similar, just don't use this part and no wood pile will block the area. Last but not least, let's check everything in game if everything works properly. Okay, here's a little error. Line 35. Error missing. Okay, what's wrong? Oh yeah, a colon instead of a semicolon. So, reload. Okay, it doesn't trigger. It didn't show any error. What could be wrong? Alright, I've checked for a little bit and the E of entrenching of the ace entrenching tool wasn't capital. Little but breaking error. Now everything should work. Good, it's working. We can go to a tree and the action will be triggered. It gets removed when we move away. Also when we don't look at the tree anymore. And also when we chop the tree. The wood pile is spawned, the chopped tree gets removed and the action entry also. And we can go to the next tree, repeat. Let's drop the entrenching tool from the inventory. No option for cutting the tree available. And available again when we have picked up the tool. Okie dokie, there's nothing more I can say. Thanks for your endurance. Always pay attention to the right punctuation in your scripts. You all have a good time, stay healthy, see you next time.